The enemy arrives at dawn. 300 chariots. No warning. No escape. And the man they came to kill refuses to run. Elisha stands at the edge of the Jordan River. Water laps at his feet. Cold. Rhythmic. The kind of sound that should calm a man. It doesn't. His fingers tighten around the cloth in his hands. Heavy wool. Worn edges. Still warm from the body that wore it last. Welcome to the Chronicles of the Bible, where we uncover the truths they never told you. Today, we're revealing the untold story of Elisha the prophet. Not the miracles. Not the victories. But the part no one talks about. The loneliness. The betrayal. The moment mercy looked like treason and obedience nearly destroyed him. This is about a man who inherited power he didn't ask for and made a choice so controversial it almost cost him everything. If you've ever felt chosen but abandoned, or wondered if doing the right thing is worth the price, this story is for you. Let's begin. The crowd that gathered to watch the miracle is gone now. No cheers. No songs. Just wind cutting across the riverbank and the distant rumble of wheels on stone. He lifts his head. Scans the horizon. Nothing moves except dust. But dust doesn't lie. Someone is coming. He looks down at the mantle again. The weight of it surprises him every time. Not the fabric. The expectation. Elijah wore this. Elijah called down fire. Elijah stopped rain for 3 years with a single prayer. And now Elijah is gone. Taken up in a whirlwind of flame and thunder. The sky opened. The sky closed. And Elisha was left holding the coat. Would you have picked it up? Or would you have let it fall? The prophets told him he was chosen. They said God's hand was on him. They said he carried a double portion of Elijah's spirit. But right now, standing alone by the water with enemies on the horizon, chosen feels a lot like abandoned. He thinks about the moment the chariots of fire appeared. How the horses screamed. How the wind tore at his clothes. How Elijah looked back one last time before the whirlwind swallowed him whole. And then, silence. If you're new to Chronicles of the Bible, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. This story doesn't go where you think. Elisha strikes the water with the mantle. Once. The surface ripples. Nothing happens. He strikes again. Harder this time. The river splits. Water pulls back like curtains opening on a stage. Rocks appear. Mud. A path cutting clean through the center. He steps forward. His sandals crunch on wet stone. The walls of water tremble on both sides. One wrong step and they collapse. He doesn't look back. When he reaches the other side, the water crashes shut behind him. The sound echoes across the valley. Final. Irreversible. He turns and sees them. 50 men standing on the opposite bank. Prophets from Jericho. They watched the whole thing. Watched him hesitate. Watched him strike twice. Watched him barely hold the river open. One of them whispers something to the man next to him. Elisha can't hear the words. But he knows the tone. Doubt spreads faster than fire. He wraps the mantle tighter around his shoulders and starts walking. The road ahead curves through rocky hills. No trees. No shade. Just heat and stone and the weight pressing down on his chest. He tells himself it's the sun. It's not. It's the question clawing at the back of his mind. The one he can't shake. What if I'm not enough? The prophets don't follow him. They stand on the far side of the river and watch until he disappears over the ridge. Then they turn and head back toward the city. Their voices carry on the wind. Low. Urgent. Uncertain. They're already talking about what comes next. About who should really lead. About whether God made a mistake. Elisha hears none of it. But he feels it. The shift. The hesitation. The gap between what people say to his face and what they say when he's gone. He keeps walking. One foot in front of the other. The mantle drags against his back. Heavier with every step. Ahead, the hills darken. Shadows stretch long across the path. And somewhere in that growing dark, just beyond the edge of sight, something moves. Not an animal. Not the wind. A figure. Watching. Waiting. But what they didn't see, was the shadow watching from across the river. The message arrives 3 days later. A runner. Barely old enough to grow a beard. He collapses at Elisha's feet outside the city gates. Gasping. Covered in dust. Blood on his knees from where he fell twice on the road. The king. The boy chokes on the words. The king wants you dead. Elisha doesn't move. He crouches down. Eye level with the runner. Which king? Jehoram. The boy's voice cracks. He's convinced you're working with the Arameans. Says you knew about the ambush before it happened. Says no man hears God that clearly unless he's hearing something else. The accusation lands like a fist. Elisha straightens. Looks past the boy toward the palace walls rising in the distance. White stone. Tall. Built to make men feel small. Jehoram sits inside those walls right now. Surrounded by advisors who whisper poison into his ears. Men who profit when prophets fall. Gehazi, Elisha's servant, steps forward. Young. Loyal. Terrified. We should leave. Tonight. Before he sends soldiers. Elisha shakes his head. Leaving makes me look guilty. Staying makes you dead. The two men lock eyes. Gehazi is not wrong. But running solves nothing. It confirms every doubt. Every whisper. Every claim that he's not Elijah. That he's a fraud holding a coat too big for his shoulders. Elisha turns back to the runner. Who sent you? Obadiah. The king's steward. He said to warn you. Said you have until the new moon. 4 days. Elisha hands the boy a water skin. Watches him drink. The kid's hands shake. He's seen something. Something that scared him more than the run. What else did Obadiah say? The boy wipes his mouth. Hesitates. He said, they're not just coming for you. They're coming for anyone who believes you. The words hang in the air. Cold. Final. This is not about one man anymore. This is about control. About silencing the voice that refuses to bow. Jehoram doesn't fear Elisha. He fears what Elisha represents. A power he can't buy. Can't manipulate. Can't kill. Gehazi's voice drops to a whisper. If they come for the prophets, if they start arresting families. They won't. Elisha's tone is firm. But his jaw tightens. Because he doesn't know that. Not for sure. And uncertainty is a weight no mantle can carry. That night, Elisha doesn't sleep. He sits on the roof of a small house on the edge of town. The kind of place no one notices. Below, the streets are empty. Above, stars burn cold and distant. He pulls the mantle around his shoulders. The fabric smells like smoke. Like the fire that took Elijah. Like the burden he inherited. He prays. Not with words. Just breath. In and out. Waiting for something. Anything. A voice. A sign. A confirmation that he's not alone in this. But the sky stays silent. And the silence is louder than any accusation. Footsteps on the ladder. Gehazi climbs onto the roof. Sits down without asking. They stay like that for a long time. 2 men. 1 question. What happens when the people you're supposed to save want you gone? Do you think Elijah ever felt like this? Gehazi's voice is quiet. Almost ashamed to ask. Elisha considers the question. Thinks about the stories. The victories. The miracles. The moments everyone remembers. But he also thinks about the other moments. The ones no one talks about. When Elijah ran from Jezebel. When he hid in a cave and begged God to let him die. When he felt like the last man standing. Yes, Elisha says finally. I think he felt exactly like this. Gehazi nods. Doesn't ask anything else. Because sometimes the answer is not comfort. It's company. The wind picks up. Carries voices from the valley below. Laughter. Shouting. The sound of men gathering. Too many men. Too late at night. Elisha stands. Moves to the edge of the roof. Peers down into the darkness. Torches. Dozens of them. Moving toward the house. Gehazi sees them too. His breath catches. They're not waiting until the new moon. Elisha's hand moves to the mantle. Grips it tight. His heart pounds. But his voice stays level. Get inside. Bar the door. What are you going to do? Elisha doesn't answer. Because he doesn't know yet. He just knows running is not an option. Not anymore. He watches the torches grow closer. Counts the men. 30. Maybe 40. Armed. Angry. Led by someone who knows exactly where to find him. The leader steps into the light. Tall. Broad shoulders. A soldier's build. But the face is familiar. Too familiar. One of the prophets from Jericho. One of the men who stood on the riverbank and watched Elisha strike the water twice. One of the men who whispered. Betrayal tastes like ash. The soldier raises his voice. Elisha. The king commands your presence. No trial. No questions. Just commands. Elisha steps to the edge of the roof. Visible now. I answer to God. Not Jehoram. The soldier smiles. Not kind. Not cruel. Just satisfied. Then you'll die answering to God. The men move forward. Torches high. Swords drawn. And Gehazi, standing in the doorway below, opens his mouth to shout a warning. And the servant's scream pierced the night before Elisha could stop him. Gehazi's scream cuts through the dark like a blade. Sharp. Desperate. The kind of sound that comes from seeing death and knowing you can't outrun it. Elisha spins. Sees the boy frozen in the doorway. Eyes wide. Face drained of color. Pointing toward the hills. Not at the soldiers. At something else. Something worse. The horizon glows. Not dawn. Fire. Torches. Hundreds of them. Moving in formation. Tight. Organized. Professional. Not a mob. An army. The Aramean chariots roll down the hillside in perfect rows. 300 strong. Wheels thunder against stone. Horses snort clouds of steam into the cold air. And at the center of it all, banners snap in the wind. War banners. The soldiers below freeze. One of them drops his torch. The flame dies in the dirt. Another backs away. Sword still raised. But his hands shake. Because this is not what they came for. They came to arrest one man. Not fight a war. The leader, the prophet turned traitor, stares at the advancing army. His voice cracks. They're surrounding the city. Elisha doesn't move. Doesn't speak. Just watches. The chariots spread out like fingers closing around prey. Cutting off roads. Blocking gates. Trapping everyone inside. The timing is too perfect. Too precise. Someone told them where to go. When to strike. Who to target. Gehazi stumbles up onto the roof. Grabs Elisha's arm. We have to run. Now. While there's still. There's nowhere to run. Elisha's voice is calm. Too calm. Like a man who's already made peace with what's coming. He pulls free from Gehazi's grip. Steps to the edge of the roof. Looks down at the soldiers who came to arrest him. Go home. This is not your fight. The leader laughs. Bitter. Angry. You brought this on us. You and your God. Elisha meets his eyes. I didn't bring them here. You did. The accusation lands. The leader's face twists. He opens his mouth to respond. But the words never come. Because the first arrow strikes the ground 3 feet from where he stands. Then another. Then a dozen more. The Arameans are not negotiating. They're eliminating. The soldiers scatter. Running. Screaming. Torches abandoned. Swords forgotten. Every man for himself. The leader hesitates. Looks back at Elisha one last time. Then he runs too. Disappears into the chaos. Gehazi drops to his knees. Hands over his head. We're going to die. We're going to die here. Elisha kneels beside him. Places a hand on the boy's shoulder. Look at me. Gehazi shakes his head. Eyes squeezed shut. Breath coming in gasps. I can't. I can't look. They're everywhere. We're surrounded. There's no way out. Look. At. Me. The boy's eyes open. Wet. Terrified. Elisha holds his gaze. Steady. Unshaken. Do you trust me? Gehazi's voice breaks. I don't know. Honest. Raw. Elisha nods. Then trust God. He stands. Turns toward the advancing army. The chariots are close now. Close enough to see the faces of the drivers. Young men. Hardened by war. Eyes empty of mercy. They've done this before. Surrounded cities. Burned homes. Left nothing standing. Elisha lifts his hands. Not in surrender. In prayer. The words come quiet. Almost a whisper. Lord, open his eyes. Nothing happens. The chariots keep rolling. The arrows keep falling. Gehazi's breath keeps shaking. And for one horrible moment, Elisha wonders if the silence from the roof will follow him here too. If God will stay hidden. If the mantle around his shoulders is just cloth after all. Then the air splits. Not with sound. With light. Blinding. White hot. The kind of brightness that makes you forget what darkness looks like. Gehazi throws his hands over his face. Screams again. But this time it's not fear. It's shock. The hills are on fire. Not with torches. With something else. Horses. Chariots. Riders. Made of flame. Thousands of them. Covering every ridge. Every slope. Every shadow where the Arameans thought they had the advantage. The enemy below looks small now. Insignificant. Surrounded by a force they can't see. Can't fight. Can't comprehend. Gehazi's hands drop. He stares. Mouth open. Words gone. Because the army of heaven is real. And it's bigger than anything the enemy brought. Elisha watches the boy's face. Sees belief dawn for the first time. Not the kind you inherit. The kind you earn. By seeing what should be impossible and realizing it's not. But Elisha doesn't smile. Doesn't celebrate. Because what comes next is the hard part. The part no one talks about. The part that will cost him everything. He turns back toward the Aramean army. They're close now. Close enough to strike. Close enough to kill. And instead of calling down fire, instead of commanding the heavenly host to destroy them, Elisha prays again. Strike them with blindness. The Arameans stop. Confusion spreads through the ranks. Drivers pull on reins. Horses rear. Men shout orders that contradict each other. Because suddenly, they can't see. Not darkness. Blindness. The world erased. Replaced with nothing. Gehazi stares at Elisha. What are you doing? Elisha doesn't answer. He walks down from the roof. Calm. Deliberate. Moves toward the blinded army. Gehazi follows. Too shocked to question. Too confused to resist. Elisha stops 10 feet from the nearest chariot. The driver tilts his head. Listening. Lost. Vulnerable. Elisha's voice cuts through the chaos. Clear. Commanding. This is not the way. Follow me. I will lead you to the man you're looking for. The Arameans hesitate. But they have no choice. They're blind. Surrounded by unseen forces. And the voice offering help is the only thing that makes sense. One by one, they dismount. Form a line. Hands on shoulders. Following the voice. Gehazi watches in horror. You're leading them into the city. Elisha nods. They came to kill you. To kill all of us. I know. And you're bringing them inside the walls. Elisha looks back at the boy. Eyes hard. Tired. Certain. Yes. Gehazi's voice drops to a whisper. Why? Elisha doesn't answer. Because the answer is not something you explain. It's something you show. And what happens next will either prove God's way works, or get them all killed. What Elisha did next would turn mercy into a weapon, and make him hated by his own people. The gates open. The blind men stumble through. 300 enemy soldiers. Hands on shoulders. Eyes vacant. Trusting the voice of the man they came to kill. The streets of Samaria fall silent. Merchants freeze mid-transaction. Women pull children behind walls. Guards on the ramparts lower their spears. Confused. Horrified. Watching their greatest enemies march straight into the heart of their city. Led by a prophet who should have called down fire. Elisha walks at the front. Calm. Unhurried. The mantle drapes across his shoulders. Gehazi trails behind. Face pale. Hands clenched. He keeps looking back at the line of blind soldiers. Waiting for someone to realize what's happening. Waiting for the violence to start. King Jehoram stands in the courtyard of his palace. Jaw tight. Eyes narrow. He watches the procession approach. His generals flank him on both sides. Hands on swords. Ready. This is the man who wanted Elisha arrested. The man who believed prophets were dangerous. And now that same prophet is delivering an entire enemy army to his doorstep. Elisha stops 20 feet from the king. Turns to face the blinded soldiers. Raises his voice. Lord, open their eyes. The Arameans blink. Once. Twice. Vision floods back. Shapes. Colors. Walls. And then the realization hits. They're surrounded. Trapped inside enemy territory. No weapons drawn. No escape route. Every face around them filled with rage. One soldier reaches for his sword. Finds nothing. They were disarmed on the march. Another tries to run. Gets 3 steps before guards block his path. Panic spreads. Fast. Men shouting. Pushing. Looking for a way out that doesn't exist. Jehoram steps forward. Voice cold. Sharp. You brought them here. Elisha meets his gaze. Steady. I did. Why? To show you what mercy looks like. The king's face hardens. His hand moves to the hilt of his sword. The generals move closer. The crowd presses in. Hostile. Hungry for blood. These are the men who've burned their villages. Killed their families. Stolen their crops. And now they're standing here. Defenseless. Delivered. Jehoram's voice drops to a whisper. Deadly. Shall I kill them, my father? The question hangs in the air. My father. The words drip with mockery. Because Elisha is not his father. Not his advisor. Not even his ally. Just a prophet who refuses to give the king what he wants. What everyone wants. Vengeance. Elisha shakes his head. You shall not kill them. The crowd erupts. Shouting. Cursing. Demanding justice. Demanding retribution. How dare he protect the enemy? How dare he deny them what they've earned? The generals look to the king. Waiting for orders. Waiting for permission to ignore the prophet and do what needs to be done. Jehoram raises his hand. The noise dies. His voice cuts through the silence. Then what do you suggest, prophet? Should we send them home with flowers? Elisha doesn't flinch. Set food and water before them. Let them eat and drink. Then send them back to their master. The words land like an insult. Food. Water. For the enemy. For the men who came to destroy them. The crowd's anger shifts. No longer aimed at the Arameans. Aimed at Elisha. The prophet who's lost his mind. The prophet who's forgotten whose side he's on. One of the generals steps forward. Older. Battle-scarred. Voice rough from years of command. This is treason. Elisha turns to face him. This is obedience. To who? Not to Israel. To God. The general spits on the ground. Disgusted. Your God is making you weak. Elisha's jaw tightens. But his voice stays level. My God is making me strong enough to do what you cannot. The challenge hangs between them. The general's hand moves to his sword. For a moment, it looks like violence will win. Like mercy will die right here in the courtyard. But Jehoram raises his hand again. Stops it. Prepare the food. The crowd gasps. The generals protest. But the king's word is final. Not because he agrees with Elisha. Because he's curious. Curious to see if this insane gamble will pay off. Curious to see if mercy can do what swords cannot. The servants bring bread. Meat. Wine. More than enough. The Arameans eat in silence. Hands shaking. Eyes darting toward the exits. Waiting for the trap. Waiting for the poison. But it never comes. Just food. Just water. Just the humiliation of being spared by the people they came to kill. When they finish, Elisha addresses them. Go back to your master. Tell him what happened here. Tell him what Israel's God can do. The Arameans don't speak. They just leave. Walking through the gates. Unarmed. Unharmed. Alive. The crowd watches them go. Silent. Stunned. Not sure whether to feel relieved or betrayed. Jehoram watches too. Face unreadable. When the last soldier disappears over the hill, he turns to Elisha. "You just made us look like fools." Elisha shakes his head. "I just made them afraid." The king doesn't respond. Just walks back into his palace. The generals follow. The crowd disperses. Slowly. Reluctantly. Still muttering. Still angry. And Gehazi steps close to Elisha. Voice low. Urgent. "They hate you now. Our own people." Elisha nods. "I know. Was it worth it?" Elisha looks toward the horizon. Where the Arameans disappeared. Where the choice was made. "Ask me in a month." One of the generals lingers. Watching from the shadows. A man named Zimri. Young. Ambitious. Loyal to Jehoram. And now convinced of one thing. Elisha is dangerous. Not to the enemy. To Israel. To order. To the way things should be. He turns and walks into the palace. Silent. Determined. Already planning. But there was one man in the room who would never forgive what Elisha just did. The stones come 3 days later. Small ones. Thrown from the crowd. They miss. Barely. But the intent is clear. Elisha walks through the market. Head down. Mantle pulled tight. Gehazi walks behind him. Scanning faces. Watching hands. The hostility is everywhere now. In the eyes of merchants who refuse to sell to him. In the mothers who pull their children away when he passes. In the whispers that follow him like smoke. A woman spits at his feet. Doesn't say a word. Just spits and walks away. Gehazi starts to confront her. Elisha grabs his arm. Shakes his head. Not worth it. The woman's husband died in an Aramean raid 2 months ago. Her anger is not irrational. Just misdirected. They reached the house on the edge of town. The same roof where Gehazi screamed. The same place the soldiers came. It feels smaller now. Colder. Elisha climbs the ladder. Sits down. Stares at the horizon. Gehazi joins him. Silent for a long time. Then, "They're saying you're a traitor." Elisha doesn't respond. "They're saying you care more about the enemy than your own people." Still nothing. "They're saying God has abandoned you." That one lands. Elisha's fingers tighten on the edge of the roof. Because he's wondered the same thing. Every night since the Arameans left. Every prayer that goes unanswered. Every moment of silence where there used to be presence. He prays now. Eyes open. Staring at the sky. Waiting for something. A word. A sign. A confirmation that the choice was right. That mercy was not weakness. That obedience still matters. Nothing comes. The silence is heavier than the stones. Heavier than the whispers. Heavier than the mantle on his shoulders. Because doubt you can fight. Silence you can only endure. Gehazi's voice cracks. What if they're right? What if we made a mistake? Elisha looks at the boy. Sees the fear. The confusion. The beginning of doubt taking root. And he knows this is the moment that matters. Not the miracle. Not the mercy. This. The aftermath. The part where belief costs something. Do you think we made a mistake? Elisha's voice is quiet. Not accusing. Just asking. Gehazi hesitates. I don't know. I thought. I thought when we spared them, something would change. That people would see. That God would. I don't know. Do something. He did. What? He trusted us to do the hard thing. Even when no one else understood. Gehazi shakes his head. That's not enough. It has to be. The boy stands. Frustrated. Pacing the roof. You're not hearing me. They're coming for you. Zimri. The general. He's been meeting with the other commanders. Building support. They're going to arrest you. Maybe worse. Elisha stands too. Faces him. And what do you want me to do? Fight back. Defend yourself. Call down fire like Elijah did. Elijah called down fire on the enemy. Not on Israel. They're acting like the enemy. Elisha's voice hardens. They're scared. There's a difference. Gehazi stops pacing. Stares at him. You're going to let them kill you, aren't you? Elisha doesn't answer. Because he doesn't know. He just knows that running makes him a coward. Fighting makes him a tyrant. And silence makes him a martyr. None of the options are good. But one of them is obedient. Footsteps on the street below. Heavy. Organized. Soldiers. Gehazi moves to the edge of the roof. Looks down. Goes pale. It's Zimri. He brought 20 men. Elisha doesn't move. Doesn't run. Just stands there. Waiting. The mantle feels impossibly heavy now. Like it's pulling him down. Like it wants him to fall. But he stays upright. Because falling is easy. Standing is the test. Zimri's voice carries up from the street. Elisha. Come down. The king wants to speak with you. A lie. Jehoram doesn't want to speak. He wants distance. He wants this problem solved quietly. Zimri is here on his own authority. His own agenda. And the 20 men with him are not an escort. They're a warning. Elisha climbs down. Slow. Deliberate. Gehazi follows. Terrified. When they reach the street, Zimri steps forward. Hand on his sword. Not drawn. Not yet. But ready. You've caused enough trouble, prophet. Elisha meets his eyes. I caused mercy. You call that trouble. Zimri's jaw clenches. You embarrassed the king. Weakened Israel. Made us look soft. I made us look strong enough to choose. You made us look like fools. The soldiers move closer. Surrounding them. Hands on weapons. Gehazi's breath quickens. But Elisha stays calm. Voice steady. What do you want, Zimri? I want you to leave. Tonight. Take your servant. Take your mantle. And go. And if I refuse? Zimri's hand tightens on his sword. Then we'll make you. The threat is real. Immediate. And for a moment, Elisha considers it. Leaving. Walking away. Letting someone else carry the weight. But then he thinks about the blinded soldiers. The food. The mercy. The choice that cost everything. And he knows leaving now would make it all meaningless. I'm not going anywhere. Zimri's face twists. Anger. Frustration. Betrayal. You think you're untouchable. You think God will protect you. Elisha's voice drops. Almost sad. I think God will do what he does. And I'll do what I must. Zimri draws his sword. The other soldiers follow. Blades gleaming in the fading light. Gehazi steps in front of Elisha. Unarmed. Shaking. But willing to die first. And then the silence comes. Not absence of sound. Presence of nothing. Like the air itself is holding its breath. Zimri freezes. Sword raised. Waiting for the command from his own mind that won't come. The soldiers stop. Confused. Looking at each other. Wondering why no one is moving. Elisha lifts his eyes to the sky. Whispers. Lord. Nothing. No fire. No voice. No rescue. Just silence. The same silence that's haunted him for days. The same emptiness that makes doubt feel reasonable. And in that moment, standing surrounded by swords and hate and fear, Elisha understands. God is not silent because he's absent. He's silent because the answer has already been given. The choice was made. The mercy was shown. And now the cost must be paid. Not with miracles. With faith. Zimri lowers his sword. Slowly. Not because he wants to. Because something stops him. Something he can't name. He steps back. Breathing hard. Looks at Elisha. Confused. Angry. Afraid. This isn't over. Elisha nods. I know. Zimri and his men leave. Slowly. Reluctantly. Still looking back. Still waiting for permission to finish what they started. But it doesn't come. And when they're gone, Gehazi collapses against the wall. Shaking. What just happened? Elisha sinks to the ground. Exhausted. I don't know. And in that silence, Elisha understood the one truth no prophet wants to face. Elisha sits alone. The mantle rests across his lap. Heavy. Worn. The edges are fraying now. From use. From weight. From the years of carrying what was never meant to be carried alone. The city is quiet tonight. No crowds. No stones. No soldiers. Just the sound of wind moving through empty streets. Gehazi is inside. Sleeping. Or trying to. The boy hasn't been the same since Zimri came. Since the silence. Since the moment faith stopped feeling like certainty and started feeling like a choice. Elisha runs his fingers over the fabric of the mantle. Thinks about Elijah. Wonders if the old prophet ever sat like this. Alone. Questioning. Wondering if the cost was worth it. Probably. Everyone who carries power eventually asks that question. The difference is whether they answer honestly. A figure approaches from the shadows. Slow. Deliberate. Elisha's hand moves to his staff. Then relaxes. It's just an old woman. Bent. Fragile. She stops a few feet away. Looks at him with eyes that have seen too much. You're the prophet. Not a question. A statement. Elisha nods. The one who spared the enemy. Another nod. She's quiet for a long time. Then, my son was in that city when the Arameans came. He was 12. They killed him in the street. For nothing. Just because he was there. Elisha's chest tightens. He opens his mouth to respond. She raises her hand. Stops him. I hated you for what you did. Feeding them. Letting them go. I wanted them dead. All of them. Her voice cracks. But last week, they sent a messenger. The Arameans. They want peace. They said what you did scared them more than any army. They said a God who teaches mercy like that is not a God they want to fight. Tears stream down her face. She doesn't wipe them away. My son is still dead. That doesn't change. But maybe other mothers won't have to bury theirs. Because of what you did. She turns and walks away. Disappearing into the dark. leaving Elisha alone again. But the weight feels different now. Not lighter. Just clearer. Gehazi emerges from the house. Sits down beside him. They don't speak for a while. Then the boy asks the question that's been haunting him. Do you ever wish you'd let the mantle fall? That day by the river? Elisha considers it. Honestly. Every day. Then why keep it? Because wishing something was easier doesn't make it less necessary. Gehazi looks at the mantle. At the fraying edges. The weight. The burden. Will it always be this hard? Elisha doesn't lie. Probably. The boy nods. Accepts it. Because sometimes the truth is not comfort. It's preparation. And preparation is the only kindness you can offer when the road ahead is long. Elisha stands. Wraps the mantle around his shoulders. Feels the weight settle. Familiar now. Not welcome. Just familiar. He looks out over the city. At the people who hate him. The people who fear him. The people who will never understand why mercy was the only option. And he chooses it again. Not because it's easy. Not because it's celebrated. Because it's obedient. And obedience is the only measure that matters when the applause fades and the crowd goes home. The mantle stays. The burden remains. And Elisha walks forward. One step at a time. Knowing that the cost of carrying God's power is not the miracles. It's the moments when no one is watching. When no one is cheering. When the only witness is the silence. And you choose to obey anyway. Because fire is impressive. But restraint is holy. So here's the question you can't escape. If that mantle fell on your shoulders, would you have the strength to carry it? Or would you let it burn? If this story challenged you, inspired you, or made you think differently about faith, obedience, and the cost of doing what's right when everyone else wants something easier, then subscribe to Chronicles of the Bible and hit that notification bell. Because we're just getting started. There are more untold stories. More uncomfortable truths. More moments where God's way confronts our expectations. And you won't want to miss a single one. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you thought. Share your own moments when obedience cost you something. When mercy felt like weakness. When faith required more than you thought you had. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Let's build a community that doesn't just consume inspiration but creates it. Together. The mantle is waiting. The question remains. What will you do with it?